Hey guys, hello everybody. Good to have you all and good to see you again in the next iteration of podcast. As with every other podcast, there's always something special for every podcast I try to, bring in. And this time, as you can see, the folks in front of me, uh, very special. First time in the history of these RHWB podcast. So I have the pleasure of hosting all the assistant coaches or ACs, as they are now famously called, to share the next 30-40 minutes of this podcast. So welcome, guys. It's been quite a journey with all of you. So welcome, and I hope that we can just have a chat on our experiences thus far, and maybe peel the curtain a little bit to share with the fellow runners how the sausage is made from the other side. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. So let's do this in a structured way. Let's start with some introductions first, and we go around the horn. Just introduce yourself a little bit, and maybe talk a little bit about your running career. How has your running been, and then we can talk about other stuff. Please go ahead.
All right. Hi, everybody. This is Suja Raghunath. I always feel obliged to throw in the disclaimer. I also go by Priya. That's my middle name. Half the people in this group know me as Priya and some know me as Suja. So about my running career, I think it was like long ago in school days. I think I was an athlete, and that's about it. I did short distance running, but I always had I had developed asthma, so I could never ever take it further. And we used to live in a hill station in Kunur where sports was the biggest thing. And then my father was in a transferable job. So we come to Madras, and it seems like everyone was just studying all the time and nobody did any as much sports, or it was not as intense as it was, in my middle school years. So it just fizzled away. College, whatever, I just didn't do much. And then asthma was always a problem for me. I didn't do anything much at all. And then after I had my two kids, after my second one, maternity leave, I go back to work, and a co-worker was looking for somebody to play badminton with. And I just done, whatever, at home badminton, nothing serious. But I said I'll join. And then, MIT had great codes. So it was subsidized too by my company. So I went, started playing. And I remember the first time I played was, I couldn't play for 5 minutes before, I had a wheezing, all that. And so I built up that over time, and I played like 7 years, I think, until this girl, she left the country. So I kind of, it just fizzled out. There were four of us who would play regularly. So I think that built up the stamina. The next thing I tried, I think, I think close to 40 or so. That's when Bala, you organized that EBC trip. Remember, it was like a milestone birthday that we were going to celebrate, and you threw in this 100-day challenge. And what's that? EBC? No, sorry, this is before Kilimanjaro. Yeah. So you threw in all this get fit for climbing the mountain. So that time I signed up for on 5K, and I thought this is I did that, and I thought, oh my God, this is, who would want to run 5 miles, right? And I walked most of it. Actually, some friends in the neighborhood were the ones who told me about it, and we some of them wanted to run, and I made everyone walk with me because I wasn't going to be running 5K. And then the next, I didn't do much at all after that, the next few years. And I think 10 years later, close to, or at least 7 or 8 years later, is when, this EBC trip came up, the hike to Everest Base Camp.
Yep.
And to prepare for that, you said, let's do this 100-day challenge. Every day, 30 minutes of activity or something like that, right? And that's when I took up running. And I remember it was December 30th, 2018. And I started that day, and I kept it going till we were ready to take off for EBC. I worked up to, I think, only a 5K. It was even hard to run like 5 minutes continuously. And I slowly built it up to finish a 5K. I was so thrilled. I remember Srivatsan was there when I did my 5K. I was so excited to have finished it. And that was it. And that's when. And then you convinced me, of course, to get into RHWB. And I started, I think, within season 3.
Correct. And that was your first half marathon, if I remember it correctly.
Yeah, you convinced me to sign up straight for a half marathon. I thought there'll be 5K, you jump to a 10K and then go to half. You're like, no. This is what we have and you can do it. And then I trusted you and I did that. That was my first half marathon. And I signed up for another one. And by that time, I think the running bug I really started enjoying it. So I signed up for the second. And then you go, oh, what's the big deal? You should be doing a full marathon, which I resisted. And then it was Christmas of 2019, I think.
Yeah.
And Srivatsan and my cousin Kritika, who's also in the program this year, over a glass of wine, they're like, what's the big deal? We are all hitting milestone birthdays. So let's go, run a full marathon somewhere. And that's when I said, okay. And then I switched to that.
That's amazing. Look and the trajectory has been just pretty amazing. No, half marathon or a 5K to a half marathon to a full marathon in pretty record time. And now you're training for your second half marathon, right?
Second full marathon.
Oh, sorry, second full marathon.
Yeah.
Oops.
Exactly. Yeah, and that too, I didn't. So I had not even completed my first full marathon when Boston came up with this virtual thing, and I will never qualify for Boston. So I thought this is my chance. So even before I ran the first full marathon in April this year, in March, I signed up for the second one, which was going to be, in October. So I don't know what made me do it, but I'm glad I did it, and I'm almost there, and I hope I finish it.
I mean, you've been fantastic, guys. You should know. One thing that's really amazing about pretty much everybody here is that they are really focused on being very dedicated to this training program. They just hit it hard, then let it go that easily. And then they are natural runners too, natural athletes. And as you saw Suja, how quickly she ramped up, that's because she's naturally a good athlete. And of course, the rest is history, as they say. It's been an amazing ride with you, Suja. Well done. So let's invite the next guest. Please go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, like Abala said, I started my school pursuits with very highly athletic activities like carom and chess. I was very famous for it. I tried running on and off, but absolutely hated it. And then I came to this country and my physical activity was ballroom dancing. It's kind of a little out of the park there. And I actually started competitive ballroom dancing. And for that, I had to keep in very good cardiovascular shape because it's very demanding physically. So that was the path I took. And then like Suja mentioned rather, her first 5K race, I was in the finish line. I saw the excitement in her eyes when she crossed that finish line. And that really inspired me to go try this running thing one more time. So my wife and I tried to go and do a run of 5K in the neighborhood. We got up to 2-mile mark. I stopped to tie my shoelace and I was done with that run. It was just miserable. I was like, why would anybody want to do this? But somehow I persisted and I kept doing it little by little from 5K to maybe 6 miles and then say 8 miles and slowly I added. And then I think by December, I think we met Bala in one of our group meetings and he said, oh yeah, you should join this program. And then I joined the program. I've never run a road race in the first place, any road race, 100 meters or anything. And then Bala said slowly, you're running a lot. Maybe you should sign up for a full marathon. I'm like, okay, full marathon. I've never heard of that before, but let's give it a shot if you think I can run it. So that's kind of where it all took off.
That's amazing. And guys, just so you know, this is one of those, I don't even know he's a normal human. He's like extraterrestrial is the right word to say. Because he hasn't done a 5K, 10K, half marathon, nothing. Straight away into full marathon. That's it. His first race is a full marathon and he's continuing, and forget about that. He's ready to be legitimately qualified for a actual Boston Marathon BQ if not this season, definitely next season. That's how amazing. That's how amazing Srivatsan is. And it's just like a sub-4 full marathon training for his third full marathon. I think he runs anywhere between 345 to 355 right now. So let's see how that goes. Chicago Marathon is coming right now. I mean, this is, in this Indian mythology, there is this character called Hanuman, right? For those of you who do not know. And his power is that people don't know his power. He himself doesn't know his power. So somebody has to tell him, hey, Hanuman, you can just fly and lift that mountain and go away. And he said, oh, really? And then you just lift the mountain and fly. Like that. He himself doesn't know how amazing he is. Somebody had to just tell him, yeah, you can do a full marathon, and he's doing it. I'm going to tell him you can do a Boston qualification next season, and I'm sure he'll do it. So he's just unbelievable. So well done, Srivatsan. It's inspiring for everybody. Let's invite the next guest.
Is that?
Shrikant.
Oh, that's me. Okay. Hey, hi. Yeah, so my name is Shrikant. And I mean, athletic and running journey. So in my school and college days, I was okay athletic. I mean, it was not like I was very great in sports or something like that, but I used to play a little bit of badminton and, a little bit of hiking I used to do in my college days. So I was, moderately fit person per se, right? But never had thought about doing any, endurance runs and stuff like that. And my running journey was very weird because I think it started in before season 1 of RHWB, where so Bala had actually signed up for the Rutgers half marathon, and just 3 weeks before the half marathon, he was planning to. He said, I'm going out of station and I have a free bib or free registration spot. So do you want to go and run it? I said, I've never ran 13 miles before. I mean, I can do 3-4 miles, but never 13 miles. And I mean, he essentially, he convinced me to do that run. And the only practice run that I did before that half marathon was he took me to a trail, the river trail, the river road trail. And we ran like a 5-mile up and down kind of a run the first time, right? So I mean, I ran very slowly and I was able to kind of, finish it. And he said, it's good. You're all trained for half marathon. Just go. On the race day, I go and obviously, I'm a little nervous, but I kept it, run slowly and eventually, somehow because of the crowd, mentality and everybody sort of, playing, boosting all mental strength and everything. So I managed to finish my first half marathon with absolutely no training. And it was decent time, like around 2 hours, 28 minutes or something like that. But the point here is that the point to be noted was that after the run, I was like literally miserable for 2 days because my leg muscles and everything, I have done a little bit of badminton and active sports, but not for my leg muscles have never seen active running for 2 hours, 30 minutes kind of a time frame, at a stretch. So, I thought, okay, I mean, but I like the run part. I said, why can't I think I should be able to do a little bit of more structured training for half marathon, right? And that's when my little one, Sammy, who was like a 10-year-old, he also signed up for the first season, Bala, if you remember. And then along with some other kids like Sammy, Shant, Anush, and everyone. And my motivation was that, I wanted to run with the kids. I wanted to give them company, because they were also like starting their journey, right? So they were very slow, not very hesitant, boring for them. And they could go and have fun playing video games. But, here Shrikant uncle is making them, run. But I used to kind of, love giving them company, right? And I used to love them, very little kids, how they used to kind of run, very structured training and all that stuff. So that's how my running journey started, right? Running with the kids. And then I literally started to follow whatever schedule, Sammy would follow, right? Like, whatever structured training that he was going through, I kept on doing structured training with him. And then every season, I started to run this half marathon. And my best half marathon to this day was 2 hours, right? So all this effort that I put, all this training and everything, it brought me from 2 hours 28 to 2 hours. Okay,
not 2 hours. You broke 1:58.
Yeah, like, but it's like it was kind of 2 hours. I mean, I never did like a big sub 2 and all that, but so essentially, what I realized, but more than sub 2, the fact that I now enjoy with my half marathon is that now when I finish my half marathon, I'm not miserable, right? I'm a happy soul. I can walk after I have finished my half marathon, right? And that's why, and now it has become sort of an habit, right? So every other day, if I don't run 3 to 4 miles, I feel depressed, and it's kind of in my, it makes me feel happy. That's why I think we call it runner's high, right? So I hope, the point that I'm trying to make is that the structured schedule or structured training does help in terms of making you feel happy, after doing either a half marathon or full marathon. And so far, I've been very happy with my runs. And now that the time has come, that there was a point in time when I used to tell these kids how to run. Now I can hardly catch up with them. There was a point that now Sammy says, Dad, you run too slow, man. What's going on? So I stopped running with them now. So I do my own stuff because I can hardly, pace with them anymore. But there was a point in time when I was their pacer, kind of a thing.
They are in the ascendancy. We are all in the descendancy.
I know.
I mean, as I said, guys, as I was saying, Srikanth is always very modest. And there is always a common thread among these guys. You will hear from the remaining two as well. Athletic, fundamentally athletic. They've done some amazing things, and that's why they want to give back to the community as an AC. And we'll talk about that a little bit. Now, talking about Srikanth, he converted 158 into just around a 2. But for all of you should know, every minute less than 2 is equivalent to 10 minutes after 2. That means 210 to 2 is equivalent to 2 to 159. And 159 to 158 is equal to 220, or 2 to 158 is equal to 220 to 2. Every minute from 2, sub 2 is a huge deal in terms of a half marathon journey. So that's one. And secondly, just to give you the power of Srikanth, I have a small side story. You know that, right? Recently, we all went to Mount Elbrus together.
Mount Whitney.
Mount Whitney together. Climb Mount Whitney together. So the toughest part of Mount Whitney is what they call it as a switchback part of the mountain. So it's like, if you go to hill stations and all in the olden days, you will see the buses go like this, right? Switchback. Because when
hairpin bends.
Hairpin bends, exactly. So there is this place where the steepness of the mountain is so pretty steep. So you have 99 switchbacks when you're walking. 99, like 1, 2, 3, 4, it keeps on going up like that. About 1.5 hours or 2 hours is a stretch. And every time anybody who goes for Mount Elbrus, and it's around 12,000 feet to 13,000 feet. So the altitude is also there. So not only the switchbacks are there, and 99 of them, and the altitude is quite quickly goes up, and it is already at a higher altitude. So your heart rate and all that is also kind of challenged a little bit. That's the toughest part of the climb. And I had the good fortune of having Srikanth with me in that climb. And trust me, guys, me, Unni, it's like we're all like pretty cardio strong people. It's not like, we are novices in the mountains. And this guy is, in fact, the first time in the mountains. We are come here at least 10 times or maybe something like that in that altitude easily. And this guy climbs the switchbacks literally as if he's walking in the park. I mean, he was having a side chat with, of course, the super women, Sonia Ahuja, who should not be part of our group at all. So these two are talking something about insurance story, because both of them are in the insurance industry.
Okay.
And they're talking and they forgot that they are in the switchback, I think.
And they you'll have big packs too, right?
Not that pack. Still some pack is there. But the pace at which these guys are climbing, and we are supposed to be one team, me and Unni are like, guys, just ask those guys to slow down a little bit, And these guys don't even realize they are in the switchback portion of the mountains. And I'm just giving you the core strength is so much with him. And that is why even without any training, he goes and cracks a 220 something half marathon. Imagine that.
Kala, time to sign up for a full marathon and hand off your ticket to Srikanth.
I've been telling him for so long. I think that's how I need to do that. Just handing, because anything free, I think he likes to do it.
I like free stuff.
That's a good Srikanth for you all. One part of the reason why I'm doing this podcast is I want you guys to know a little bit more about ACs. So it's all great to see that story. Let's, in that same theme, let's invite the next person who is also an equally interesting person to know about. Please go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone. You know me now. So this is Anirudh. And my running story is, I would say, very unplanned and little bit interesting as well. So just to give you a background, I was always an athlete, right? I was part of my cricket team, college cricket team. I was captain, I was the captain of my college badminton team. So I was always more into sports than in studies. And then, when I came to US, I started, I started to continue my kind of a cricket journey in US, right? And by that time, because of a big gap between the college days and the job days, the stamina was something which was bothering me whenever I used to play the cricket. And so back in 2012 December, I met with my friend, who lives in Washington DC, and just a casual chat, and he said, "Hey, you know what? Last week I completed half marathon." And I said, "Okay, what is that?" I mean, I did not even know what does half marathon mean. What is the distance? What does it entail? Nothing. And this is I remember 15, 16 December, and he gave me some details which sounded very exciting, running for 2 hours 15 minutes and so on, or whatever, 2 hours 30 minutes. And I said, okay, this looks interesting. And then 31st December 2012, New Year 2013, some of my friends under the influence took a resolution that, hey, 2030, no matter what happens, right? That this is like 2 a.m. in the morning, 2013. That no matter what happens, we are running, we are completing a half marathon, by end of 2013, right? No idea, no clue how to do that, but we decided. And then, as they say, right, whatever you want to do, first you go and sign up for it. Correct. So on 2nd of January, I went to New York because my friend told me that in New York, there is a association called NYRR. Yeah. New York Road Runner, very big association, running association. On 2nd of January, we went there. We paid them $100 because they have this membership. You take a membership, and with that membership, you can run in 5 boroughs. I think one of the borough, I think Roshan ran today. I ran that as well, 10-mile Bronx. He ran today. And we said, okay, no problem. We did the registration, came back and said, now what? How do you train for a half marathon? Right? I mean, we went for running, and then we realized that, in 10 minutes running, that's it. You have to stop, and then the pain, your leg, I mean, you become miserable after 10 minutes. And even if you stretch it for 30 minutes, somehow it's just undoable. So then, somebody said that there is an app on the phone called 10K Train. You can't just train for half marathon. You download that app called 10K Trainer. We downloaded that app, and that app kind of, that's how they sell it to you, right? That, okay, 3 days of app training and you are fit for 10K or half marathon. And put your headphones, and then it says 1 minute walk, 1 minute run, 1 minute walk, that is the training. And we followed that. We did our 10K in Queens, I think in the month of June. That is the first borough. And then followed by the Bronx 10-miler, which Roshan did today. And finally, coincidentally, when my first Staten Island half marathon I did on a eve of Dashera. It was scheduled coincidentally on a Dashera, and we completed that half marathon. I took 2 hours 25 minutes. Oh, but wow. Yeah, but no strength training, no hill. I mean, we did not even know what does stride mean, what does interval training mean. It was like, even when we had this pain and injuries, your YouTube search would be like, the pain under the thigh. We even did not know that, something like Achilles tendon and, the shin splint exists. So that's how I completed my first time at half marathon. And just fun fact, who was that guy who completed first half marathon with me on that day? Saurabh Pradhan.
Oh, interesting.
He was the guy. We trained together somehow, and he was he was with me when we completed our first half marathon. And after that, I think he stopped. But I just caught up on the running. Now it's like my go-to sports since that day. And I said, no, this kind of this training. First of all, running is very easy, right? As we know, among all sports, doing running is the best thing you can do. It doesn't require commute, it doesn't require ton of equipment. You can do it in between the meeting, right? You can just go out. It doesn't require you to assemble a team of people to play with you, right? You just wear your shoes and you go out. So that became my kind of the go-to exercise. Then we moved to India, but I made sure that I at least complete 2 to 3 half marathon in a year while playing badminton and cricket on the side. Full marathon was required a lot of time commitment, and 10K was super easy. So, half marathon, I thought, it gives me that, balance between doing a, training for something which can be called as long distance training, keeps me fit, and kind of, helps me in the running as well. So I did a lot of runs in India, Hyderabad, Goa, Satara, Pune, Mumbai half marathon. So, I just keep doing it. But Bala, some of the things which I learned in your structure program, lot of those things were just missing from whatever, from my training schedule, whatever that training schedule was, right? It was completely missing. So yeah, and that's how now running is like go-to thing. You have to do it
Incredible
on a
story.
weekly basis.
How many half marathons you completed? Like in terms of the half marathon?
I think this is 18 or 19 half marathons.
That's commitment. That's doing one off is one thing. 19 half marathon medals is a commitment. And I know you're just getting started here. Now you are like even more addicted than what you used to be from 2013 to 2020. Awesome. Now let's welcome such fascinating stories here. You see, guys, that's why I'm already excited about this podcast. To increase this quotient of excitement, let's bring in another incredible story. Let's welcome the next and the last but not the least, AC. Please go ahead.
Hi guys, I am Mo, originally Moninder, but everybody knows me by Mo or Moji. So for me also, running just was never never was a cup of tea for me. So it just started in some certain circumstances. I'll go through that, but I have been athletic, not very athletic, but kind of athletic. Like have been doing yoga all my life. School days, I used to lead the yoga team. That time, Central School, the yoga was introduced, and used to have good, nice madams who will be coming, young madams teaching you yoga. So that was the motivation to join. So, and we were like in 11th, 12th grade. So I think that was the
I like the use of the word madam.
So we used to call them madam at that time, so teachers. So anyway, so that was the thing. But eventually I figured out that I had a lot of flexibility, and my actual coach, the yoga coach, said that you should pursue this. After that, life happened, started job, and came to US, and I got into that day-to-day stuff. And the other thing with me was I'm very fond of eating. I love to eat like nice food and all. I'm a foodie, so kept on putting weight. So at one point of time, I had this big face and like a 5 months kind of a belly, 5 months pregnancy belly. But I was still very active. So I thought, okay, nothing's going to happen. Life will be good. So I still used to be, I can do Shirshasana. I can teach, do all sorts of yoga. So when people used to run outside, these guys are crazy. I don't know why they're running. And I didn't see much difference. Like I in my neighborhood, there's a guy who's still running. He has been fat, he's still fat, and he still runs. So I thought, okay, maybe he's a long distance runner. Anyway, long story short, so life was in autopilot mode. And suddenly, back in June of 2019, to be precise, on 20th of June, something happened which changed my life. So I had a massive heart attack, and I was in the ICU after that. Luckily, with the correct thinking at the time, I straight away had to my doctor, and who rushed me to ICU. And that's where I pledged to myself, like within half an hour, 45 minutes, I survived. Like they put a stent, and I was like totally out of control, no palpitation, nothing. So no damage to the heart, luckily. So, but I was told that, guys, you need to slow down. And I was asking them, okay, when can I go back to my job? After 3-4 days. And then my friend's daughter, she was an intern, doctor's there. So she asked, uncle, can you just calm down? So then she told me. So then I went for my short-term disability. And but in the ICU, I thought this is the second chance. So I need to do something. So I thought, what is the best I can do? So I will run a marathon. I didn't know how to run a marathon, but I knew that since it is heart, so the heart needs to be stable for the rest of my life. So I decided I'll go for a marathon, and how I will do, I don't know, but I knew why. So that was the why, which basically brought me all over this running thing. So I think after that, when I started, then I met, like 3 months it took me to come back out of this going around the house for small walks. Then joined my gym back, and there I met Julie, who is another member here. And I saw her, hey, I said, you look pretty slim. What happened? Like, did you lose weight? Oh, she said, she was like bragging, oh, you will see me much more slimmer because I have joined half marathon program. I said, hey, enroll me there. It was December. She said, no, it's closed now. I said, can I talk to your coach? Because I have some history. I can convince him. And she said, okay. Then she introduced me to his husband. And then finally, first call with Bala. And I was driving and Bala said, hey, and Bala is so smart that from my name in WhatsApp, he started calling me Mo because I have Mo and then in bracket NINDER. So I like that. So then he said, hey, that's fine. And he said, then he gave me he gave me all the spiel. And then he said, hey, there's a 2 weeks rule. I said, yeah, that's fine. But if I get into somewhere, I will never leave it. So I signed up for this and it was a life-changing experience. I thought, like, initially when I came in, I thought it will be just for one season, but this has become a lifelong, I think it's an addiction. Like I think Shrikant or Srivatsan was saying, if you don't run for 3 miles every day, you feel like, same thing with me. So this season I signed for 10K. Today I was so itching. I finished my 9 miles. And I think over the weekend, next weekend, I finish my half marathon because my company is doing some kind of a charity. So I'm thinking of that. So I think the last thing, which was last season, I think I did 2 seasons for half marathons. Then the third season, I was just, after the season was over, I was continuing my run. And then Bala's, when I enrolled for half marathon, it was 2 miles and I was already running 4 or 5 miles. I said, Bala, I'm getting bored. He said, okay, let me put you to full marathon. So season 3, I joined for season 5, I enrolled for full marathon. Oh man, what a journey was that. I think after that, and that's what made my dream come true of running a full marathon after the condition. And I think when I started, I had lots of struggle. Like it was a roller coaster ride because suddenly the heart rate will go up to 165 and then I have to slow down. Then I started some things and talked to my doctor. He said, as long as you are not feeling anything as any breathing problem, just go for it. And I think that's in a short, that's my journey. I'm sorry, it took a little bit longer, but I just wanted to give perspective to everybody that just need to find why you want to do this. Everything else will fall in place. I think that's how I got into running.
What an amazing story. And
Inspiring.
I see you to full marathon, guys, in 2 years. So if Mo can do that, all of us can, get around a little bit of a, call it knee pain, shin splits, and, Achilles pain. All of that pain can all be taken care of. I'm not saying ignore it. I'm just saying it all can be taken care of. And we can still do it. Mo is like an example, a standing, towering example for us. And thanks for inspiring us, Mo.
Thank you.
Your story is not just, it's a very powerful story that anything is possible.
Bala, just one thing is that it's not me, it's the whole group, your energy and everybody else. They bring it together. Like there have been downs also. It's not that it's like a fairy tale. Like in full marathon, many times I said, oh, maybe I should drop from full, but I think the support system which we have is amazing, Bala. Thanks for creating this wonderful run high with Bala. This is amazing.
Thank you, Mo. Thank you. Thanks a lot. It's all a joint team. So guys, that is what I wanted to make sure that you all get to know your ACs. So there were couple of reasons why I wanted this special podcast. One was, of course, for you all to know the other side of ACs, which by now you know how it is. So when they tell you daily, do this, do that, they've gone through that themselves, and they've just gone through that themselves, and they also got a lot of learning. So they're trying to sort of make sure that you can shortcut the learnings directly and do the right thing. So first of all, on behalf of all the runners, I want to say thank you to all of you for a phenomenal contribution to the society at large. And 250 runners are running right now, of which a good 50% of them are doing it for the first time. And like all of you, if you remember your first runs, it's a transformative journey. Especially the first run is a transformative journey. So thank you for transforming other people's lives. I think that's what makes us all go, right? The second reason why I wanted to bring you all here is that I wanted to tell the community what it takes to do a season, a runner's high season. It's things might appear as if it's going clockwork, but there's a lot of things that needs to fall in place from various sources to get in place. So guys, when runner's high started to take off, and initially there were 7 runners or 8 runners, I was able to do that. It was not even final search, it was Excel sheets, it was Google Docs. Imagine final search in Google Docs. That was the first season where literally everybody has to come and enter their splits in Google Docs, and then I used to respond. That is how it was my first season. Second season, we continued Google Docs, But this time it was like for 30 people in Google Docs, still in Google Docs. Okay. Then very soon I realized that third season, 60 or 70 people came in. And I said like, oh my God, Google Docs is just not possible. So Final Search came into existence, So we had Final Search and I was taking care of 60. Then fourth season, it was like some 100 plus or something, managed it. Fifth season, it was 150 plus, and I was actually busting at my seams. I didn't want to lose out on anybody's, they come here for some connect with the coach at the end of the day. And as I'm sure you all would agree with me, few days or 1 week, you don't do anything, people will feel, hey, what the hell, no, or somebody, you're not responding to my run. So, I mean, this doesn't happen with me because I have senior runners, but you all have a lot of junior runners and they want that continuous kind of attention from the coach.
Yep.
So I realized that 150, it is just not happening. So I remember discussing with my management team that next season, by the time the word of mouth became so sort of ubiquitous, even before we were able to complete one season, another 103 people are in the waiting list. And it was hard for us to because out of 150, let's say if only 50 people came back, that was okay. I mean, I'm encouraging people, you don't have to come every season. People are like, you can say whatever you want, I'm coming back. So we are like 85%, 90% return rate. Or in other words, if 150 in previous season, next season almost 130 are already coming in. And I mean, we cannot say no to them because they already earned their stripes. So they are already in. And then another 50, 100 people in the waiting list. So I knew that it's something has to give. And thank God, somebody gave me this idea of like, how long can you do this alone? You need to have a core team. And luckily, so that's why this season is very special. If tomorrow, if Runners Eye with RHWB becomes a big, huge organization, thousands of runners around the world are running, let's say. I mean, I hope it can happen like that. Hundreds and thousands of runners are running, and somebody is coming to us and saying, what is that turning point in the journey of runners? I would say it is the introduction of ACs into the program, because this is when you can scale. This is when things can get better. And that's why I see you guys so special. Thanks for taking the trajectory into a different direction altogether. So that's how it came. So in that context, let's start this time with Srivatsan. Maybe just a few words only. How did you decide to become an AC? What was your motivation?
So for me, like basically, if I take to something, my nature is to delve into the nuts and bolts. So for my own running growth, I've done it for the last 3 seasons. So I figured, okay, maybe I can be of use in kind of being a supporting role in kind of a coach scenario, assistant coach scenario. So I figured, okay, maybe I can be of use. Otherwise, like I won't feel comfortable giving people advice if I had no idea what I'm talking about. So at least, okay, with Bala as the primary umbrella, maybe I can at least throw in my 2 cents now and then to help people out. So that's kind of what drove me to this. Yeah.
Like you had garnered enough knowledge and you thought that what's the point in garnering knowledge if you can't share it with others? Sharing is caring at the end of the day. That's so nice of you to think like that. What about you, Ani? Why did you decide to get into becoming a coach?
Well, Bala, see, look, I said running is an easy sport, right? Because you don't have to kind of assemble a team, and that's an advantage. But it can be a disadvantage too, right? In the sense, like I was self-motivated. We decided as a New Year resolution, you do one race, and then the injury hits you, pain hits you, you twist your ankle. And everything fizzles out, right? It's very difficult to keep oneself motivated to do that continuously. And I have seen that a lot of my friends, they did one race with me and they fizzled out, right? Year on year. But then I saw the impact you are making, because my son Ayush enrolled in your program, my wife enrolled, and I was like their home coach while you were running this structured program. And I realized that, when you join a running group, right, it tremendously helps you to train more consistently with a positive peer pressure. That is how I summed it up. That if you are part of the group, number one, you're becoming a part of the community. People are there to help you out, right? Obviously, you don't enroll alone. You're, near and dear ones alone. You kind of enroll as a group, and that builds a very positive peer pressure, right? which helps you to keep excel season by season, right? And that fact about the structure, I literally loved it, right? And then I think season 5, I think when Ayush and my wife ran their first half marathon, we met. You were looking for scaling it out, right? And I was looking for contribution. And I think we just said, okay, let's think about it. And then this AC idea came in. And yeah, and I'm glad it's working out.
Amazing. See, I mean, I see Ani has always been, he's a captain of cricket team, captain of a badminton team. So he's always been in the business of motivating others. That is his common thread. And I think AC came naturally to him as a result. It was just like extension of that. Now he's going to do it with people that he has never met before, which is an interesting, exciting challenge, actually. And so and it was great to have you join the team, Ani. What about you, Shri? How did you get into becoming a AC?
Yeah, so I mean, I obviously wanted to give something back to the community. That's one thing. But more than that, I really wanted to help some of the kids, right? The younger kids. And I mean, I really felt that I was impacting some of them, if I technically run with them and help them sort of, improve their pace a little bit, or at least, if someone is finding it very lazy to go out and run. Mine was more like I really wanted to run with them physically to see, if I can motivate them. And if I have successfully motivated even one person, from my team, I feel very happy about that, right? That, at least, I made some change in somebody's life, right?
Absolutely.
So that was my motivation, mainly for the kids, and technically physically accompanying them, right? So that was, I know during the COVID times, we couldn't do much of, group runs and all that stuff. But there was a point in time when we used to do that very often.
Every week.
Trail and all that, we used to do that, right?
Do every week, literally. So, I mean, right.
Correct. Yeah.
If you're able to do this with kids, I'm just thinking, guys, right? Imagine somebody had done this to us when we were in forget about 10 years old, even 9th grade, 10th grade. Man.
Even for me, even 2013.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. It would have been totally a different line altogether, man. Because this builds confidence. I mean, not that we all didn't have confidence. I'm saying it would have given even more confidence and an ability to take big things, breaking into small things and doing it. This is something that's true character building, and absolutely agree with your focus on kids.
And a lot of people have said that, Bala, like some people are self-motivated, right? They don't need any help, but there are a lot of people who have told me multiple times that, these group runs, right? It sort of helps them, get motivated to, do the runs.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah,
absolutely. No doubt about that. Mo, what about you, buddy? How did you decide to, sorry, if you're talking to somebody.
No, that's okay. No, okay.
You okay? You ready? Okay, Mo, so what about you? Like, how did you get to become an AC? Like, why did you make
So for me, I think it's a threefold journey. First was that after 3 consecutive, I think runs, like seasons, I thought I'll take a break this season. But at the same time, I didn't want to leave this group. So you suggested you go for 10K. But 10K, I thought it's okay. But the thing is how to do something better. So I asked if there is anything which I can do volunteer and all. And I think then you saw that, okay, I can be doing the assistant coach, and I loved that. And I think the other thing which I wanted to do this was because I wanted to share my learnings or my experiences with some individuals where kind of I'm responsible for them. If I go, I don't want to be a preacher. Hey, guys, listen to me. This is what. So now I think I have a team, and I just talk to them. Somebody comes, I'm disheartened and all. I said, okay, don't worry, we'll get you through this. So I think that gives a very good feeling. And the third thing is when Bala, again, you're a pro, you like Page and all these Ironman, these guys are like, if you are a coach, everybody thinks that you're a super, when I joined, I used to think that you're a superhuman and all, but somebody like me, who is just 2 years into the program, not even 2 years, maybe 2 years. Yeah. So January 2020, 1.5 years. So somebody who's like that. So I think if he comes and tells that, okay, I'm coaching you, that is altogether a different ball game. Like I can connect. I think the coach can connect much better. Again, not that you connect with everybody, nothing. But what I'm trying to put together a perspective here is like an ordinary person becoming a coach, assistant coach, and then relating their day-to-day experiences, the struggle and like the frustrations when you try to do something, you're not able to do how to do that. So I think those are the three things which basically took me to the path of assistant coach. And I'm really enjoying it, loving it, and really that's why I think now this is something which I want to do for the rest of my life.
You've also been a teacher, a yoga teacher. So when I looked at you for this, I knew that you had the pleasure. You always had pleasure in giving your knowledge to others. There's one thing that is everybody should know. A coach need not be the best in what that person is doing. One of the best cricketing coach was the Tendulkar coach. I'm sure Ani would know. Archrekar. I don't think so. He even played Ranji Trophy. I don't think so. He was just a regular guy, but he is considered one of the greatest coach because he was ready to give himself to the service of others. This Tendulkar story, if you read his book, he's the guy who used to take Tendulkar in a scooter from one match to another match so that the kid was getting experience. He was able to spot talent. He was able to fill up the blank. He was able to share certain experiences and expertise that at that point that kid did not have. So a coach need not be the greatest runner or the greatest Ironman runner. In fact, the other way around, the greatest Ironman runners are one of the worst coaches you can think of. Because some of the best runners are focused, they're always been in the life of focusing inward because they need to focus inside to get the best out of them. Normally, they are not great coaches. Great coaches are folks who can think outward, what I can give to others. It's nothing for me. It's about giving to others. So that's why it's a very selfless thing. And that's why you guys are doing great. And that's why everyone should have a special appreciation to these folks. Having time to give to others. So well done, Mo. That was great.
Thank you, Bala.
Suja, what about you?
All right. So for me, I like getting into details of something. Anything I take up, I like Srivatsan, maybe not to that scale, but I really like to understand, get to know. And, in our running journey, we had so many great discussions, right, about analyzing our own runs and whatnot, listening to so many podcasts and getting to know about this, about how running works. So in subsequent seasons, I think when we got our friends introduced into the program, a lot of them would call me and we would talk about it. I was guiding them through all their questions and whatnot. And even through the groups that we have in WhatsApp, right? With the runners group, I think I was interacting a lot, with all of the, based on whatever experience I had, even though it was like 2.5 years or whatever, right? But it was getting better. Every time I was learning more and more about it. And when the season, when you were talking about this 250 runners, was coming around, at that time, I think Sushma was the first person to say, you do so much, you should be a coach. She was the first person to put that thought into my head. And she said, why only men have to be coaches? We need women coaches. So many women runners in this group. And why not? And she's like, you are right for this. You can do it. But I still had that doubt, anything I do, I'd rather, I want to do it well. And that credibility, just like Mo pointed out, only 2.5 years of running, right? And where have I built that credibility? And so I needed more validation. I spoke to Madhuri and she pumped me up. She's like, of course, and go for it. And that's when I wrote to you and said, you probably need help with like 250 people. What can I do? I would love to help. And again, like you said, you don't have to be the best runner or to be a coach. You have so many other ways of giving based on what you learn, you experience, right? You can give back, and that's why I'm here.
And what a fantastic journey. Looking back, somebody might have thought that I had done like some heavy duty filtration process, a proper selection criteria, and then landed on the 5 best candidate for AC, because from the standpoint of results, that's what everybody might be thinking. These guys are a pro. They knew what exactly. But in reality, I was thinking, these are the 5 people who gave my hand and said, hey, pick my hand up. I think it's going to die very soon. I was like, yes, I know these guys are great runners and I know they want to give. That fact was enough. And look at how they became. And I think the common base I again say is that within the heart, one thing was common for all 5 was I want to give. Yep. It was not about what can I get more by becoming an AC. It was like, what can I give? And that is the fundamental equation that morphed into them being excellent assistant coaches, even more amazing human beings. And let me tell you a few things. When these guys became an assistant coach, from my side, my job was to make sure that I'm able to scale what I'm doing. You know, the worst thing that can happen is we have 5, and then 5 has 5 completely different experiences. I mean, I'm talking about the runners. And then the reason why they joined is failed. That is one first objective. The second objective was I wanted them to bring their own things to them. Otherwise, I want to learn from them too. You know, it's not like they say, how much more one person can have, like, you know, they say, you know, great film directors, only 3 movies they can come up with great ideas. After that, they better have better assistant directors to continue to, you know, improve on the quality of the movies that they put. And K. Balachandar, some of the biggest assistant directors, had some of the greatest assistant directors. Like some of the greatest directors had greatest assistant directors because of this reason. So I wanted to kind of let them free to sort of, I want to learn from them and increase the sort of flavor of so that was my second thing in this thing. And thirdly, there is a lot of tactical things that needed to fall into place. Lot of tactical things. So my entire focus was doing the training session for them. So for those of you who wonder, how did a normal runner suddenly became this professional AC? There was a journey. You know, we had multiple training sessions. We had weekend meetings. I put PowerPoint presentations together. We have a common doc where, and then, you know, we had a WhatsApp. Of course, we'll have a WhatsApp group. Anything in Runners High is a WhatsApp group, as we end in a WhatsApp group. So we had WhatsApp group. We exchanged ideas, stupid questions, good questions. Man, what do I do when this runner behaves like this? To what do I do when this runner is extremely good? Those kind of things. There's a lot of questions, a lot of discussions over the last many weeks. And it was just a fascinating experience. And I personally, I'm sure all 5 will agree too. It was like my close friend knit circle of friends, very tight. I should add Renu and Madhvi also into this group because they're always part of this. We were tight. You know, we can rely on each other, like come, you know, State of the Union interim. We were like, guys, let's divide and conquer. Let's make it happen. And boom, it was happened. Would you guys agree with me on all that?
Absolutely.
200%.
So that's how it was. So it's been a great journey. So guys, let's this time start with Srikanth. Looking back at your now 14, 15 weeks of AC experience, what are some of the highlights you can think of?
Obviously, the initial couple of weeks was very frustrating, you know, especially when, you know, I mean, the runners had difficulty posting their runs using to Final Surge. You know, I mean, I had to kind of send multiple messages to them that, guys, I mean, I have to go through each and everybody's run, right? So if you are not posting the run appropriately under the planned activity and not sort of, you know, registering the runs accurately, it becomes very difficult for me, right? So obviously, you know, those initial hiccups were there, but I think most of my runners were very good in terms of, you know, slowly. They also had initial challenges, right? I mean, I had to kind of, you know, understand that part, but they really, you know, came fairly, you know, quick, and they understood what needs to be done, and they started posting the activities correctly. But overall, you know, very pleasant experience. And the feedbacks, right? Any feedback that I would actually give to my runners were very positively sort of, you know, taken. That's something that I will always like about this whole, I mean, all my runners, you know, they were very positively took all my feedback. And I think, I hope, and I was able to positively impact also some of them, right? That, you know, what you are doing is the right thing, and so forth. So overall, a very pleasant journey, Bala.
Awesome, Srikanth. Good to hear. Srivatsan, some highlights?
Yeah, so for me, yeah, the same thing. Initially, it was just getting my head around the fact that I had 40 runners. I had to kind of sort them out and figure out how to remember who is who, not get confused by names. Once I got through all that, I created an Excel spreadsheet for myself and start tracking, okay, what watch they use, what they do and everything. Once I got that sorted out, the highlight for me was having these little common discussions with my runners. They explaining their problems, what they're facing, and my flashback goes back to, oh yeah, I know I had the same thing. Like it's so nice to see that, and I like, okay, I can really help with this because I know what I did for this. So it is fantastic to feel that. Yeah, that is great.
Amazing. So guys, you know, it's a funny anecdote here before I ask Suja to talk about a little bit of her journey. You know, when I initially recruited them, just before I had to give them a time commitment, right, per week. So I was looking at 150 messages per day comes in. I mean, 150 runs per day comes in, right? That's how it is. And I told them strength is something you don't have to respond, because anyway, strength, they just put in the duration. So there's nothing to respond for a duration. So respond for, when I remember, respond means you have to give a sincere response, because that's what a coach's job is. Response for every run and respond for every like message to you. It could be anything. So any message. So that means I was looking at 150 I used to do every day. And I used to get about 20, 25 messages per day. So let's talk about 150 plus 20, 175. And I used to do at about 20, 25 seconds, 30 seconds, let's say, per message. So that means it's like what, 75 minutes a day. Or in other words, like, 1 hour 15 minutes is the, like, what I used to spend to get it done. And of course, it was not easy. As I said, I was kind of at the end. So when these guys had 40, I said, maximum is 50 minutes a day, or 1 hour is the worst case scenario. So, or in other words, 6 hours per day, per week. That was the time commitment I gave them. And these guys are saying like time commitment was like 3 hours and 4 hours. And I'm like just confused. How is that possible? And then I realized when I said my time, that was after 5 full seasons of training. After 5 seasons of training was 30 seconds. These poor guys are just starting up right now. So it's not good to say 30 seconds. So there was a bit of a back and forth, and I think you guys figured it out, how to kind of make this happen. But I think you remember those days, right? Early on, we had this.
Oh yeah.
We had this meeting. What's your opinion?
Along those lines, Bala, when I first signed up, I mean, I realized, 5 of us had signed up to help you out and whatnot. And I thought you did 150. So you'll divvy up maybe 20 each at most, the rest, the remaining. And that's how we'll get into the program, right? And we are also new to this. And I thought you'll give us like the newer runners, who are coming in. Turns out you threw 40 across the board, all sorts of ranges. And that was the first mesocycle. I think I struggled. Like the first week, I think even like Srivatsan, I also had a Google sheet. I had like these names, what watch, I was tracking a lot of things. I was spending too much time. And then it took me, I think, the whole mesocycle to kind of get used to the routine. And I think the second and the third, and also to get to know the runners, names are like kind of similar. You don't see them. You can't put a name to a face. Who is writing to you, and who has the injury, it was so confusing. But I think we got the hang of it. And you, of course, have a way of like pumping positive energy, making it seem like, of course, you can do it. You kind of ride the tide with that, and it seemed it was manageable. But they said it. That's the part I like. Interacting with these runners, the kids especially. The ones who actually took the trouble to ask, so cute, and comment. Like I always am very particular about you stopping. That's my pet peeve. I don't like stopping. So I would always question that. And then there was this one runner, so cute, and Misha, and my neighborhood, he's like, I had to stop to let the cars go. I had to cross the road. So it's like little things. And then like, and the other thing that was very encouraging for me is well-established runners who've run longer than me, who are new to this program, or even who have come back. Very strong support, very encouraging. They took my feedback, and responded so positively. And that, I think, gave me that extra boost, the confidence that I can do this and do this well.
Absolutely. And guys, another interesting anecdote here. So CEO of Final Surge is a good friend of mine right now. Right?
Yeah.
So before this, I kind of wrote to him and said that, hey, listen, things are blowing up. It's going to be 150. This time it's going to be 250. I'm going to have 5 ACs, and give me some good deal. It's a non-profit organization. We're not charging anything and all that. They said, hey, can I have a call with you? I said, yeah, sure. So, on a Google Hangout, he said, Bala, I request you. I request you. You are destroying me. You are destroying me. We don't charge per runner. We just charge per coach, because just so you know, there are only 2 coaches more than you who has got number of runners, and they are the head coach of New York Road Runners. Who has got like thousands of runners signed up, and they don't do this weekly thing. Like, the New York Road Runners, if they sign up for this, maybe Ani, they just post on boom, and then it all goes to That's it. There's no coaching.
Correct.
So more the interaction, more cloud sort of resource that they use. And we are saying that you're through the charts, like you are 150 runners. You know what's our average number of runners per coach? 15. The max is 30. So why I'm so interested to say, Suja said, I started off with 40. You guys, as the first time assistant coaches, started off in the top 5 of all of final search coaches.
Wow.
Madness.
That is madness. That is the scale we are operating in. And even with that scale, if you are able to give personalized experience, it's because of you guys and all the things that you mentioned. So thank you again. It's so nice to hear that. Ani, would you agree with that? And what are your experiences?
Yeah, and and I also remember about that final search CEO, that poor soul. You followed up with him about, hey, why are you not supporting Android watches and Samsung and this and that? I mean, not only we were using, we are literally using a lot of his, resources. We are also following up with new features. So that was that was amazing. Anyways, so see, look, my coaching journey, obviously, it's fantastic, loving every beat of it. But when we spoke and we agreed, okay, let's do it together. Right. Again, the same situation, the ambiguous situation of what does a coaching mean? Because the background I come from, right, the coaches are, those old grumpy coaches which are shouting at you to, push you, this and that, right? And I was just imagining myself that what does a runner's coach do, right, in a virtual environment, right, where you cannot read people, we don't know what ticks for runner, what does not tick, right? What is their physical, psychological constraints are, right? So I had my doubts, right? And thanks to you and this community, I agree to you 100%. We had initial hiccups, right? But we worked as one team. All the problems were solved during the weekend calls, right? And we made sure that every runner gets the equal attention from its coach, right? So final search, technical issues, Suja talked about, everyone faced it, right? The UI was obviously like any other UI, ambiguous, when you saw it for first time, very difficult to read the parameters we read from runner standpoint, right? On the mobile app, especially, you had to log in. But overall, I think in the mix of all, I don't want to repeat what Srivasan and Suja did. The best part was runners completing their weekend long runs, right? Just seeing that message. I nowadays, I literally wait for it, right? Initially, spending that 1 hour reviewing all the runs on every weekend, because among us, there was an unwritten rule that every week we have to make sure we review so that you can give them the comments for the next week, right? We don't want to review after 15 days and 3 weeks, right? So we had that unwritten rule. So Sunday was, no matter what happens, social gathering, party, no, you had to spend that 1 hour looking at those runs. But then after 3 or 4 weeks, I started enjoying that, because I started talking with those new runners who first time said, hey, look, do you think I can do it? I could not run 10 minutes now. And they were like finishing 4 miles and 5 miles. I mean, I can't just express in words how satisfying that is. Absolutely. How satisfying that is. I mean, we say humbly that we are here to, give and not to take back. But I think that satisfaction which we get by doing this is just, priceless.
Absolutely. Very well said, Ani. That's clearly the motive force for continuing to do what ACs are doing. How about you, Mo?
Yeah, for me also, Bala, the key was, the lowest point was, like, the low was the getting a feel of final search. And I think initially when the first session happened, I was driving, so I couldn't attend that. So I was 1 week behind all other coaches. So that was kind of a low point. But again, now after I got all my acts together, now when I give a feedback to senior runners, like Suja mentioned, I also have very senior runners like Rajiv Das and Shankar. And when I give them feedback, and those guys take it so candidly, they just appreciate, and that's heartwarming. Like I love that. And the other thing which I want to bring here is, like, there are some runners. I had a couple of runners because of the privacy reason, I don't know if they would die, but they had so much of health issues, and like they were so uncertain that whether I'll be able to do this or not. and now they are posting the PRS, like progressive reverse splits. So that is something which is amazing, and and they themselves can't believe it. And I'm also, wow, this is something which is really satisfying.
Absolutely.
And I think I told you also once, like I was always wondering when I joined your group, as the group grew, how one person can make a difference in so many people's life. And I'm feeling that firsthand now when I like interact with people. I feel that, okay, I'm doing something, giving it back, and that's really amazing. And that kind of high which I get is single malt cannot get me. I think that's the
One of the most satisfying thing for me is I went into a recent party, in Madhvi Shrikant's house, where we had a lot of runners, like running community, a lot of New Jersey runners came. A lot of people came, a lot of new runners, and I was just saying hello to everybody. And then, he was thinking, no, I'm talking to my coach. I don't want to talk to you. For me, that was like really very satisfying,
And that was your wife, right?
My wife though says it every day.
My wife.
I don't want to talk to my wife about this at all. But seriously, they have ownership of ACs so much that, like, I was just saying something. I forget the exact context of it. But like, they're like, no, I don't want to talk to you. I'm talking to my AC, my AC. And it was very satisfying that, people are already looking at AC as their own, even though they know that we are under the larger umbrella and all that, but it is their ACs and themselves. It is me, like, me, myself and Irene or something. Me, my runs and my AC. That's how the group is. It's very, very nice to see. I'm sure one of the things, like smaller tweak, I would like to get a quick sense from you guys. One of the greatest things that get me happy in doing this was getting to know more people, and getting to know more people in a way that I've never gotten them so well, like, because of that. Did you guys have the similar experience, or any comments you have on that? Maybe why don't we start with Ani on this part?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, see, look, if you talk about some of the highs of ACs, right? Everybody will say this, but being part of that fantastic community which shares a passion, right? It's not just a social kind of a gathering, but it's like a same passion, same goal, same topics, same problems, same issues, and you're part of that community. You are enjoying each other's success, right? And our WhatsApp group is all busy all the time, because obviously bragging is what runners have got, right? After a long run, what else they can do? so it's amazing to be part of that community, right? Number one. Number two, creating new friends, right? I'll start with ACs. I mean, I never knew Suja that well, right? I never knew Vas that well, right? So, and then we now talk like any common friends will talk, right? Then the 50 new runners, 50 mentees I'm kind of mentoring, right? Out of them, a lot of people I came to know first time, right? And you get a feeling that there is a sense of bond. If I meet with them in a mall tomorrow, we can chat for 30 minutes, 1 hour without any issues.
Absolutely.
And we can talk. We can talk about the good things happen in FAST, and kind of a reminiscent of the good, runs we did together. So it's the special bond you share with all my people whom I'm interacting with via the community, which thankfully you built. It's super.
Srivatsan?
Yeah. So just to add to what Ani was just saying. So before the SOU, I had runners through their stats. I see the name, I know what stats to expect. I see it. Okay, if it is not there, I'll say, okay, what happened today? Did something go wrong? That's all I had. SOU, I collected all the pictures and everything. I'm like, oh my God, this is what this person looks like. Okay. So it's like, it's a whole new feeling. It's like, now I really feel like, okay, now I can connect the face to the name, and I feel like I know the person now better. So it's a lot of fun that way.
It's a lot of fun, right, Suja?
Yeah, the same thing. I feel, other than what they said, this is also such a great learning process. Like some of the runners, you learn a lot of things by looking at their runs and what you get back and what you see. There was this word, camber. Have you heard of this word? Camber. It's something I learned from a runner in my team. It's how the road has the curve at the end. Yeah. So when you run on one side only, you're putting uneven pressure, right? Or the way it's skewed kind of. So you turn around and run the other way. on the same side so that you, you balance it out. So all those things, I learned from them, and it's great. And it's so gratifying when they achieve things. And, when you see their runs, I feel so much pride, when they
Yes.
post perfect reverse split and whatnot. And those especially who come back from like injury and are able to come back and, show that they can do it. It's so gratifying. I cannot tell you how, wonderful this is.
Absolutely.
And one of them even goes, "Oh, won't you be there when, who's planning to go run an RHWB in New Jersey?"
Yeah.
And expecting, me to be there, for their half marathon. And I
Oh,
wish
you
I
have to
could do
be
that.
here.
So you should be there.
There is no
Suja,
excuse.
Should be
you have to
here.
come here, man.
No,
Yeah,
I will try.
Come over. We'll also meet you.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
most
And then one other thing I want to say is what Ani pointed out. Like I myself going through this full marathon training, having all these injuries, Ani, the exercises you shared with me, that you took the trouble to help me out there, and that has helped me also. So we get to know
My
each other.
pleasure.
It's all been such a positive interaction. I can't think of one negative here.
amazing. And I'm sure most Shrikant, you had a similar thought process as well.
Yeah, very similar thought process. The only thing, like one thing I really felt very happy about it. I went to one party and there were a couple of runners from this RHWB, and the feedback that I got, that I just want to let you guys know that they also realize the amount of effort that all of us spend on their each and every run. Because one person was saying that I pay like some $300 or $350, for a professional coach, running coach. And they don't even look at my runs for for a period of 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And then they come back to me and literally, you guys are looking at my run almost on a daily basis. So for them, it's a big sort of, the feedback is very positive. So the amount of value, that people get, they also appreciate the same,
No, totally. I mean, I have to tell you this, right? My own coach, I told you, I pay $500 a season, and there is no such, of course, the daily interaction for every run is there. And because I know her now, she's also a good friend of mine. That's it. There is no weekend coach. There is no and there is no personal messaging, nothing, zero.
No karaoke.
Yeah.
No karaoke.
So same here also. I think one small tip you give to the runners, and that is so important for them, and they it changes their whole perspective. They think, oh man, this is end of world, and how do I do this? I say, okay, why don't you just reduce your speed from 13 to 13.5 or 13.30 and just take it easy. And I think that makes these are the things I think the runners get amazed. And I think there are some, because everybody, I think when you come for running, everybody thinks that running means running fast. So that especially with Indian mentality, I think that's the thing in the background. Oh, running means bhagna, ekdam bhago, ekdam se. So I think when I tell them, guys, we are not measuring you with the speed, just take it easy. Even if you're walking also for some time, or just if you're out of breath, just take it easy. Let's just focus. So I think those things, like they like the feedback, timely feedback. I think that's really good.
Amazing. Cool. Let's bring it home. I know I didn't realize we've been talking pretty interesting to, look back at our last 4 or 5 months. So 2 rapid fire questions, rapid fire. Okay. I just want a tweet length answer for this. And this time we'll start with, whatever is your first thought, you should blurt it out. Okay. Shrikant, how was it doing Metrics Dash?
I didn't understand the question.
How was it Metrics Dash, Suja? Metrics Dash.
Oh, I enjoyed it because I love to grade.
How about you, Ani?
It was amazing.
Any other thoughts on Metrics Dash? Metrics Dash is super important to get on top.
I was going to say necessary evil.
Necessary evil, yeah.
Necessary evil. Yeah, that was the word. That's the right
necessary
word. Yeah.
evil. Okay. Second rapid fire question. How did you feel when some of your runners, if at all, complained to me that they are not getting any feedback from ACs?
Part of the process.
I take it as a positive feedback, and I try to improve from that.
Yep. Okay.
And if somebody is going there, I think they are concerned, they want to do better. So I think as a coach, that's our responsibility.
Absolutely. Yeah. See, it's a fun way of saying it, because you all have a day job too. It's not like, but I just wanted to let the audience know that runners are serious.
Yeah.
There's one thing I can Yeah, sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
and it's a success now, right? The
Yeah.
day one of our first meeting like this, right? Strategizing about the program. And all of us, there are days when you are dog tired, right? And
Yeah.
just don't find a quality time to review the runs and you feel bad about it. I think that's the success of this program. That no, because it has become a priority to help the runner. So I think, success, I would say success of the program lies in that.
Absolutely. And it's so funny, right? I mean, it's almost like I'm running a company and I'm getting a HR complaint from one of the, one of the managers reporting to me. Only thing is I'm not running the company and these guys are not my,
Employees.
they're actually helping me. That was a good experience from my side too. Awesome, guys. So let's bring it home. Last question. This time we'll start with Mo. You know that right now there's one more peak mesocycle remaining, one more week of peak meso remaining, and then anywhere between 2 weeks to 3 weeks to end the season, right? So we have like another 3 weeks. So if there is one word of advice you would like to give to everybody, what would that be from your side?
So I think one is don't take it for granted, because even if you run full marathon, there are days when you are not even able to run 2 miles. And I have been through that. And I spoke to Bala also. Bala, you also mentioned like once 3 miles running was kind of a nightmare for you. So no runs are same, no matter how much you are trained, how much you are there. Every day is different. So respect the proper, what do you call, the discipline for the running. So don't just party and all and think that, hey, I'm pro now, my heart rate is all in control, so I can just like wake up one morning and run for the full marathon. So just respect the discipline, I think, on that.
So what you're saying is every mile is worthwhile at the end of the day. Huh?
Exactly.
and what is one thing you learned from being in an AC?
One thing I learned is that I think the biggest thing is empathy. Sometimes people come to you for a problem. That doesn't mean they're looking for a solution. Sometimes you need to connect with them. You need to understand their problem. Just empathize. Okay, yeah, I know this is there. One way is like somebody comes to you, okay, do this, you will be done. So that doesn't solve the problem. I think you need to connect with them. Okay, what happened? Okay, let's see how we can. So I think we need to empathize with the runners and try to be in their shoes and understand. I think that is the biggest thing.
Empathy, emotional intelligence is important. Ani, 2 questions.
Well, the one message to runners is, see, you are not going to nail every run. That nobody does. For the people here on the video, they haven't done it also. The trick is, I think, the trick is to see the magic in all the runs you have done so far and get inspired for them, right? So measure the progress is what I would say, and not the perfection, right? Sometimes you go for that progressive reverse split, doesn't happen, that's fine. But the progress is, I could not run for 10 minutes and I managed to finish that 9 mile. Okay, not today with RPS. So I would strongly recommend everyone. And I learned this because I try to hit that perfection all the time. And as a part of this AC program, I learned from my new runners also that, hey, you have to keep measuring the progress. Don't go for perfection. Yeah, and that's the key to becoming a good runner.
That's beautiful. One answer with 2 questions answered. Very nice. Shrikant.
Yeah, so it's for me, like the message, is that no matter what happens on the race day, I mean, if you are able to go and stand at the start line, like we say, like consider your training to be successful, and you should be happy about that, because anything happens on the race day, right? And you should not be disappointed,
Absolutely.
if something happens. So
absolutely awesome. And Srivatsan?
Yeah, so for advice for the runners, I would say, yeah, this peak meso cycle is more about the mental training part. So right now, no matter what, just go try to stick. Just trying to do everything in your calendar you'll reap a lot of rewards just based on that. And what I have learned is just different runners deal with priorities in their life in different ways. And I love the fact that they are choosing to kind of reorganize things and do whatever they can within their parameters to get things done. That is wonderful to see, and it's just great.
Amazing. Suja?
So advice to runners, I think I would say, is considering I'm going through injury, dealing with all of that myself, is to listen to your body too. I mean, the peak meso puts a lots of load on your body. So listen to it and take care of it so that you are in a good shape to run on race day. And in terms of what I got from me being an AC is patience and, like Mo said, I think empathy, because my husband Raghu wouldn't even share his Strava with me because I was very critical about everything. I think I've learned to be not that. Everyone is different, you know. So I've learned to be more accepting of things, and and, that empathy, I think, is what I probably lacked, and it's coming slowly to me.
Absolutely, such words of wisdom here. Guys, I just want to say on behalf of the entire running community, thank you for your time, first of all. Thank you for sharing your views. Thank you for the human service you have provided to the community. Lot of us, others would know by now, it is hard to be an AC, and it's also a self-learning discovery also. It's, it's running is one side, coaching others is a completely different ballgame. And especially if you're coaching online, and where you don't even see, and metrics is everything. On top of that, you're doing a day job. On top of that, you're also training. That's a separate skill set. So thank you on behalf of the running community for whatever you're doing. Personally, thank you for saving me. And, and we are continuing to sort of march ahead strongly. And just so you know, audience, my mind is a little bit blown. Madhuri just gave a little bit of update that already 110 new runners have signed up. And as per her sort of estimate, at this time frame, that means even before the season ends, if 110 are there, then we are ending at about 220, 230 new runners who will be signing up.
Yeah.
And if you add that to 80% of the existing runners coming up, please do the math. So, I mean, we are in this very, should I say, very exciting thing where something is, whatever we are doing is right. We are just, I think what we are doing is truly caring for the runners. That's really what we are doing, care. We care more, we have the best ideas, and we execute. That's really what we do. And I think anytime, any company, anywhere, if these three things are in place, I think that company will be a success. And clearly what is happening is that. So on behalf of everybody, thank you, ACs. We will figure out what's going to happen next season. Those of you are hearing, if you like the AC journey and if you want to be an AC, you don't have to be ultra marathon runner. But what you have to be is definitely gone through the program a couple of times so that you know what this program is about. And you want to join this fun community and come behind the scenes, send me a short email about why you want to be an AC. The fundamental theme I'm looking for is you should have the feeling of giving. That needs to be there in place. And I shouldn't be the one who quotes this, but I think the times, in front of the ACs, I'm saying, let's see whether they agree with me. Time commitment about 8 to 10 hours a week. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Yeah, I would think, yeah.
Yep.
8 to 10 hours a week. If you just take everything and average it out in this full season.
It has a graph to it, but on an average, yes.
On an average.
Yeah.
There's a graph to it, 8 to 10 hours.
Before the SOU and
And there's a final SOU coming up. But 8 to 10 hours a week on an average. So multiply that by, say, 16, 17 hours. That's the investment from your side. What you get out of that is what you just heard from everyone. So with that, thank you guys. That was a very, very pleasurable chat with all of you. And also, I know it's late. Suja, please go to sleep. You have to get up early in the morning.
Yes.
So thank you, everybody.
thank you, Bala.
Thank you, Bala.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.